Hello everybody, thanks for tuning into the Overtaxed Taxpayer channel. I want to do a video, and not an average video that you're hearing on the news radios all day long today. I don't think I can do those news radio broadcasts about Normandy D-Day any justice. But while I'm listening to what our soldiers, our children went through during those times, it was beyond bravery. It was many of the soldiers, and I'm going to get to a point here. Many of the soldiers knew it was a one-way trip. Many of them knew they were not coming back. We had up to 40% casualties landing on on the beaches of Normandy and whatnot. And this video is not about D-Day or the Normandy landings or anything like that. It's the mentality of those days and what they were fighting for versus these days and what some of us are fighting for. As I said, many soldiers went there knowing it was a one-way trip, and yet they continued to go. They volunteered. Many of them volunteered knowing it was a suicide trip. They went to fight for freedom, unlike what many are fighting for today. They went to fight for freedom. They went to fight for our future, our time of peace right now. They weren't fighting for themselves. They were fighting for our future, our freedom, our ability to carve out and work hard for a happy life. Notice I said work hard for a happy life. Back in those days, things were just as expensive. Money was hard to come by, and times were rough. You had soup kitchens, and you had a lot of things that were very difficult to obtain for a family to survive. The point of this video is, back in those days, they didn't need safe spaces. They didn't need service dogs and service squirrels. They didn't need to go to airports or anything with their little, service animals. And like I said, they didn't need safe spaces back in those days in colleges or anywhere. They didn't need stuff like that. They were real people back then. They were people with sense back then. They were real people who knew that whatever you wanted in life required work, not voting in somebody who was going to take, by law, the next door neighbor's taxes so they can get free stuff. There was a pride back then about working hard and paying your own way. There was an embarrassment about being seen at soup kitchens or soup lines. They called them soup lines back then because the lines literally would wrap around the block for food, cheese, soup, any handouts that churches or groups that were putting on at the time. And they would be ashamed to be seen by their neighbors. They would be ashamed to take handouts. They were fighting for our future. They were fighting for our freedom to work hard to obtain a happy and successful life. Today, many are fighting to reverse what those young men did on D-Day during the Normandy landings. They're fighting to reverse those times of difficulty, those times of volunteering to do a one-way trip to fight for our freedom. A lot of people nowadays, they need a safe space. They're soft. They need their little service puppy dogs, and many of those puppy dogs, we both know they're fraudulent. They're fighting for the ability to obtain what you and I have without work. They're programmed by government that if you have to work hard for anything, then something is wrong, something is unfair, something is unjust. They're being programmed by our news media outlets to think that as well. If you have to work hard, if you might get calluses on your hands, something is very unfair. We have a whole propaganda machine trying to revert us back to what we were fighting against. Communism. They believe it's okay to tax other people in order to receive free stuff while they play on their PS4 games all day long and maybe sell drugs on the side. It's okay to receive welfare when they don't need it. And they've even made it easy. They've taken away the embarrassment. No longer do you need food stamps. No, there's a debit card that looks identical to our legitimate debit card. We can't let those thousands upon thousands of lives go to waste. Many of them are our grandparents. Many of them are our grandparents. I want to say something else. Our education system, they need to start teaching this history again. We need to know what we've done in our past and why. Important to know why and what we were fighting against, fighting for. Now we're importing voters from third world nations who don't care about this freedom. They didn't have to fight for this freedom. Their grandparents didn't have to sacrifice for this freedom. Therefore, they can care less for this freedom. Folks, I appreciate you tuning in, and God bless the families who sacrificed our vets today, anybody who has served in the military. God bless you. God bless your families for the sacrifice they endure. And God bless our grandparents. Take care of yourselves.